Hi, Christopher. My name is Nelson Mason. I'm going to be your Racer360 coach here for WeatherTech Laguna. So we'll get right into it. I've reviewed the lap. I've reviewed kind of the things that you had mentioned and what we're let's say, likely to focus on. A little bit of a background on me. So I turned professional when I guess I was about 14, and that brought me across the pond to Europe, where I spent the next 15 years of my career, which was very good and took me to World Series and Formula 2 and everything like that. And now we're back here, so we'll see what 2020 brings. Big thing is I get to coach again, which I wasn't able to so much over there. So we'll get right into it. Good lap. You have a strong foundation of where we're building from. We'll get right into it here. The 370 works pretty well. I will say it's a good car, so it works quite well, and we'll make some adjustments that is going to make your life a little bit easier, and just focus on building those fundamentals a little bit more to allow you to extract a little bit more speed. So we'll get right into it if we can. So coming down the main straight through one here, a big thing I would like to see, I think it's going to make your life a lot easier, is right now we kind of, we sort of cut ourselves off a little bit here. So we are sort of coming mid-track and we go to the outside, and then we have to figure out our way back to the inside. And what I would rather see is just allowing the car out a little bit more, getting it in a straight line on the outside of the track for the braking, and then we're coming in a little bit better. So we want to get out here and prep the car a little bit more. So we're just getting it to the outside of the track, getting it straight, and then what this is going to do is as we come around one and head into two, I will show you kind of what happens here. So as we come down here, where we're going to be placement wise versus where we're at right now is we're going to be traveling in this direction. And what this is going to do is it's really going to open us up to our apex. So we're going to have a much better viewpoint of our apex, because right now what we're doing is we kind of travel out to this direction rather than, as said, this direction. So it's just the trajectory that we're coming in with the car. We're actually heading away from the corner, which is something that's making our lives a little bit more difficult once we come down here. Now, the other thing is we want to be looking ahead. So when we come down into turn two here, you know, we have our braking marker, we have, let's say, our turn-in point, and we have our apex. So we want to double apex this. So we want it to kind of come in like this, rotate, and come out like this. So that's kind of what we're aiming for. You know, a big key is looking ahead, especially with a quick car. We want to be looking ahead so that we have that plan in place. So as we come down here and just roll through, if I can. So we're kind of headed, you see how we're sort of headed to the outside of the track. So right now we realistically do have our trajectory. What is going on here? We do have our trajectory coming out this way, and I would much prefer to see our trajectory coming down this way, so that we're just opening up our apex here. And that's a big thing. So we're looking ahead, we're going to be ahead of the car, and we're going to start, when we start turning in, we're already focused on our apex. That we're sure we're going to hit. We're going to be trail braking into that point. So basically trail braking down here, boom, apex. Hey, sorry, not sure if that cut out. Okay, so I think we're still recording. Okay, my computer's doing some funny things here. My internet's on the fritz. But okay, so just coming around and rotating through there. That's really what we want to achieve. Yeah, so I'm going to let me just pull up my drawing marks again. So really that's the big thing, just opening up the corner for us. Once we get down here, you know, so what's happened is now because we've had the trajectory coming to the outside of the track, we're now sort of missing the inside a little bit. So we're missing the apex. So instead, I'd rather be coming like this, getting it rotated and going back out. But instead, we're kind of driving around where where we're going to be coming like this. That's not a very good one. We're going to be traveling like in this direction kind of thing. So we're just, because we have the car going in two different directions, we're just missing that initial apex just a little bit. So I'd like to just get the car, work on the placement of the car a little bit more as we come down here, and this will open up our turn in a little bit better. Now, with hitting this apex down here, coming in, clipping this apex, getting the car rotated and clipping back. Really, I mean, the best way I can describe it is if we were looking at a data graph of our cornering speed, our corner would kind of look like this. So let's just say this is our graph. So right now, like as we come into the corner, we have our speed, we're slowing down, and then we're kind of going to be trying to keep the speed up through the corner, and then we accelerate out again. Okay, and how I would much prefer to see it is when we come into the corner, so we keep our pace. Let's say we brake at the same point. We can brake lighter, not later. So we can brake lighter and ease the car into the corner a little bit more. So our braking trace, not like that. Our braking trace is going to look something like this. And then there's our minimum speed and our mid corner, and then boom, we accelerate out. Okay, so we're going to be gaining time on entry and on exit. I'm going to show you, I'm showing you this graph first because as we roll through the corner, I'm going to play it through and then show you kind of what we mean. So let's, we're going to do this. We're going to back it up. So we've slowed down. Now we're kind of in the gas to keep that speed up. And then we're accelerating out. And we're not really looking ahead, accelerating out. So what I want to touch on is we realistically shouldn't be getting back to throttle until we have this car rotated a little bit more. So let me, how can I draw this? So when we come in, we kind of want our line to be like coming in here, right? Rotating the car and coming out. So we're rotating the car at like a point here. So we're trail braking in. Let me see if I can draw it. Let's say this is the corner. Okay. We're realistically trying to get into the apex, get it rotated, and come out. Okay. And okay, whatever. We're on the curb out here, and so whatever. But we're basically shooting for a double apex. But the big thing is we're realistically on the binders through this period, you know, on the brakes, trail braking in, maybe getting out of the brakes somewhere around here, getting the car rotated and getting back to throttle somewhere around here, where we're starting to, we've got the car turned in, we've rotated the car, and we're starting to open up our steering. So this is the big key, really what we're shooting for, because right now what's happening is we're slowing the car down. We've got the car slowed down by about this point, and then we're realistically on throttle from here to here, but we're not to full throttle until way over here. So this whole driving process that we're doing right now it's hard on us for as far as the stopwatch goes. So we want to eliminate that. So what we want to do is really keep this our deceleration zone into about here, get the car rotated, and then this becomes our acceleration zone. And we're on full on power by this point. So when we resort back to that drawing I had before, if I can, this is going to take forever, I'm sorry. Okay, so right now we're getting the car stopped, but then we're realistically having to drive it over to our acceleration point and then accelerating out. Whereas instead, let's say we just brake at the same point, but we're just easing out of the brakes a little bit more so that we're carrying that speed in a little bit deeper into the corner. So let's say, you know, our first technical apex is somewhere around here, let's say, somewhere around this point here. And we're just getting to our mid-corner speed, getting the car rotated in the center of the corner, and then this is our minimum speed here. So let's say this is speed versus distance or time. So our minimum speed is here. We get the car rotated, and then we're hard accelerating out. Now, if we looked at it from let's say a throttle trace perspective, right now you get into the throttle here, and we're kind of just holding it like this. And it's not till this point that we get to full throttle, and away we go. And what I'm more or less suggesting is we have no throttle up until this point, and then we basically get into the throttle, and away we go. So we're getting into the throttle later, which is allowing us a little bit more time to get the car rotated. We're getting into the throttle later, but we're getting to full throttle sooner. So we're being more effective in our full throttle, or in our throttle application. This is one thing a lot of amateurs do. You know, you think, oh, I'm the earliest into the throttle. Well, that's okay, but it's how much, let's say, speed did we not carry? How much speed did we sacrifice where we could have carried it into the corner quite a bit deeper? So this is one thing that we just need to focus on moving forward, is ensuring that we're not getting back to the power before our true apex, which is, you know, the midpoint of the corner, or the point that we get the car rotated. The point at which, once we've hit that point, we can start opening up our hands. That's the point that we want to actually get to the throttle, not before then. So all of that relates to this corner, which is a truly tricky corner, and it's very hard to do it, let's say, how we say to do it in theory. But again, the point is to carry the speed in here, get the car rotated, then start accelerating, and we're already opening our hands. We're looking up, we're looking ahead coming out of the exit, and we're just opening our steering. So that's really the goal that we're trying to achieve there. Here again, where we want to get on power is very clear. Right here, basically this imaginary line across the track. And as we're getting to this, which is the apex, we want to be looking ahead. We want to be looking at, you know, what is our line coming out of here to get to the exit. And at that point, we don't want to be on the gas before the apex. We want to be carrying our speed in. This is our midpoint, or our minimum speed in the middle point of the corner. And then from that point, boom, we hit the apex, we're accelerating out. Okay, and we're hard accelerating out, and we're looking ahead, so we're scribing that line with the steering wheel. But we do want to be ahead of the car for these quick corners. That was very good. See how long we waited to get to the power, but we carried a ton of speed coming in. Now here we kind of overshoot it a bit. One thing to remember is, even when we're really late on the brakes and we're trying to really whoa up the car, still get it into that apex. That's going to make a big difference for you. Okay, so again, we don't want to be on the power until the apex, but we need to be looking ahead. So we have, okay, let's say braking marker, turn in marker, apex, exit. So we want to be at the point, we should be ahead of the car where we know we're going to brake at that marker. So we're looking at it. Now we can shift our focus to the turn-in point and we can hit the braking point. Now we've shifted our focus to the turn-in point now. We're eyes up, we're looking at this. And then as we hit our braking point, our focus should always be kind of one step ahead. So as we hit our braking point, we know where our turn-in point is now. Now our gaze is focused on the apex, getting the car to the apex. And as we start really turning in and getting the car down to the apex, our focus then shifts on getting the car to the exit, inscribing that line from the apex point to the exit. So we're always kind of one step ahead of the car. That's really the way that we want it to be. That's how we can, have our repeatability and be able to knock these laps off left, right, and center. But here we just get in, maybe we think we're a little bit deep and we just miss the apex. Let's just get it in there and we can delay on that throttle. We can wait till we get to the apex. Here is the point where I'd say we're not looking ahead. We're looking down at what we're doing at this very point in time. And we're not looking ahead because we've carried decent speed in. And we come into the apex well. But we should be looking at this point. We realistically should be looking, okay, we know we're going to hit this apex, right? We know we're going to hit this. So we want to be on power across this point here, right across the apex line here. And then realistically, we should be looking at this exit and how we're going to have the car in this direction coming out to that exit. So we know the line we're now going to scribe. We're going to scribe the line just like this. And away we go. Perfect. So here's our acceleration line, right? That's our apex line. This is where we can get on the power. We're carrying our speed in really well. So we should be looking ahead and focused on, okay, here's where we need to be focused on, right here, and getting the car to there, getting that line scribed. But instead, what happens is we, we kind of are looking down at the actual apex here, and then we've got the car sorted with through the corner, but we haven't carried enough speed. And therefore we're hindered all the way up the hill because we haven't carried enough speed through 6. So the key is really to carry the speed in, get on the power at the apex, do all that properly, but be looking ahead where we will be opening the steering after we've hit that apex to allow that car to accelerate up the hill. So good here. The only thing I would say is just, how far back did I go? The only thing I would say is, remember to get that downshift in there. Don't be afraid. We don't need to leave the downshift that late. I know the car is moving around and things like that, but just remember you can brake lighter, not later. We can carry that speed over the hill, but let's get that downshift done in just, early enough fashion. We should be getting the downshift done here so that we're releasing the clutch out for the downshift just as we're on flat ground before we're turned into the corner. This is going to prevent the car from being upset and allow the car to constantly be giving us the most grip possible. But then good through the corkscrew. We can accelerate down here because now we really want to maximize our rate of acceleration down the hill. We can accelerate down here and just hold the car a little bit more to the left if you want, because we don't need to get out here. You see how the track, it kind of comes up and then it goes like this. So the banking is all in here. So that's what we want to hold the car into. So, don't be afraid to release the car more here and then you're kind of tight down here, but that is the quicker way. And we do use a fairly significant coast through here that is going to, allow the car to keep its speed up without having to do anything drastic, without changing the or switching the, let's say, the weight transfer too far to the front and causing us a bit of understeer or a bit of oversteer down the hill, or keeping the rear planted and causing us understeer down the hill. We're keeping it tight and giving it a coast. It'll allow the car to remain balanced. But very good. We get into the apex. Don't worry about I think with these tires, they have a bit more grip, so you're a little bit, you didn't expect the car to be turning in quite as well as it is. Just maybe slow the hands down so that we're a bit more accurate, so that we're not kind of taking a couple stabs at it. We're just slowing our hands down and getting it to that apex. That's going to give you the confidence to carry more speed. Carrying more speed is then in telling yourself that you can't get on the gas until the apex. That's going to allow you to judge the speed even better. And then that's where the time is going to come. Because then you're going to be like, well, I'm going too slow in this corner, but I'm not allowed to get on the gas until the apex. But the car's traveling too slow. What does that tell you? Well, it means that we have to carry way more speed into the corner so that our speed is right by the midpoint of the corner, okay? Into the apex, that's good. Again, we kind of do a couple turn-ins. Let's try to be a little smoother and a little more accurate in just where we are placing the car, but very good through there. And then here, just remember what I said about when we're getting on the gas. So we're increasing the steering angle now, and we're starting to get back into the throttle. So I don't want to be getting back into the throttle until I'm opening up the steering. And when I get back into the throttle, I'm committed. I'm pushing my foot down. And we're going to be opening up the steering and coming out a lot better. So just remember to get the car pointed that little bit more before we get back into the gas, okay? So we want the car to actually have done most of its rotation, where we're easing out of the corner now. That's when we're getting back into the throttle. So just tell yourself, I can't be onto the throttle until the apex, and that will really allow you to analyze the speed that you can carry going in. And then that's going to tell you, well, in actual fact, maybe I'm braking too early, or maybe I'm braking too much, and I can ease a little bit more speed into the corner, because by the time I'm at the middle point of the corner, I'm going too slow. So I need to get to that point faster. So roll in a little bit more speed until everything feels just so. All right. But very good lap. Tricky place. Let me give you a hats off to that, because Laguna is a tricky place to get right. But we're there. All right. You're keeping the car underneath you. You're very smooth. We'll keep moving forward from here, and we'll find the next sort of step of time and next step of time after that. All right. But thanks very much, Chris. Sorry for my delay in getting the video back to you. My internet has been on and off and on and off, and I've done this video like 4 times. So hopefully this time it'll send.